Four ingredient that I've stopped using, and actually my hair is a lot more happier. As a licensed cosmetologist, sometimes we're bombarded with a lot of information when we go through beauty school. There's so many product testing, product reviews, and there's a whole host of courses that they make you go through. So here today, I'm gonna explain to you the four ingredient that I avoid like the plague. Again, this is just what does not work for me. Just because a product doesn't work for me doesn't make it a bad product. Sometimes it can work for you. It's all about experimenting and seeing what works for you. Without further ado, let's get into the video. The first ingredient on my list is tea tree. Yeah, I know tea tree can be really soothing for the scalp and it's good for people with dandruff, but for me, I realized tea tree does not work for me. It's not only irritating for my scalp, but it actually dries out my curls. For my curls, I prefer simpler and gentler ingredients because I don't want to irritate my scalp, right? That's the whole thing. And while like some people use it again for dandruff, but I feel like for me, I would rather use a shampoo that is dedicated for dandruff. Anyway, let me know if you guys want me to give you a list of ingredients to look for if you're suffering from dandruff. That will be really helpful for you instead of using tea tree or any other essential oil, because it can be really irritating to the scalp, especially for us curly girlies. We don't want to use anything that's super irritating because our hair's health start from the scalp. That's why I always say that you have to have a clean scalp before you expect any type of hair health. So I'll stay clear away from that. Again, you have to try it and see. It might work for you. Who knows? The next one is coconut oil. This one is very controversial. When I come to the state years ago, there was this trend of women on the internet using coconut oil as a deep conditioner. But what people don't explain is that every hair is different. Every hair responds to coconut oil differently. For us curly girlies, I feel like our hair does not just like respond to any product. That's why they're curls, right? They're different. So people who have straight hair, like coconut oil can be really, really hydrating. But for some of us, it's just sit on the scalp, right? Again, let me get to my story. When I came to the state, everybody was using it. Everybody thought like it was really good. And one day I decided to try it. I remember like applying so much more in my hair, and then I ended up thinking that, oh, it's gonna hydrate my hair. But all that did for me was like it's just made my bathroom so messy with all the grease, and I don't like after my shower having to clean a bathroom because someone might slip and hurt themselves. Again, coconut oil can be really beneficial for people who have eczema, seborrheic dermatitis, because I used it for my baby's skin when she was a newborn. She was born in the winter, so she has a lot of dry skin, and it helps tremendously in the beginning, but then it started waning. I guess there's a threshold where they will say it either works or it doesn't. It worked in the beginning, but then it stopped working. So for me, coconut oil is too dry, and it's just too dry, and my hair doesn't absorb it well. Oh, then there's the Manuka honey. I feel like Manuka honey has been targeted heavily to people who have curls, and it's just sometimes I feel like it's just a hype. Again, this is my opinion. I have used so many products with Manuka honey, and they all yield the same results, right? I remember first I started with the curling gel from Shea Moisture, and I find it like super heavy. It weighs down my curls. It just sit there. I have a love-hate relationship with it because I feel like honey is a great humectant, meaning it attracts moisture easily. And for us curly women, it can be really beneficial because our curls needs moisture. So we'll think, oh, let's just go get manicure honey, which it makes sense in a way. But I find that it's really, really did not work for me whatsoever. I have tried so many brands and it's just sit there. And I realized like my curls never really like stay curly for a long time. But then again, depending on the formula, humidity, your hair porosity, sometimes humectant can really makes my curl feel unpredictable, and it can lead to freeze and the dryness that you can see, especially back on my crown, which I struggle with dryness. And I felt like anything with honey or manicure honey, it does not penetrate my hair. So it leaves my hair really, really frizzy. But then again, it's just my hair. It might work for you, but that's just another ingredient that I'm eliminating. And finally, it's cocoa butter. I feel like this is also another controversial one because us black girls, we like our cocoa butter. You know, it smells good, it's deeply moisturizing for our skin. But what I notice is instead of having bouncy definition, I end up with buildup, right? I end up with so much buildup that makes my hair feel super weighed down. And honestly, I don't want to be washing my hair every 3 days because of using cocoa butter, you know, because when you have a curly hair, you don't want to be washing it constantly because it's going to dry out your hair. So for me, I avoid cocoa butter, not because of it's dry or damages my hair. It just makes my hair feel too heavy and weighed down. So for now, I'm cutting that out. Again, all of this product does not mean that it's the ingredient does not work. It's just that I don't want to be using it in my hair. You know, if you're looking for something that feels like less weighed down, I don't think using cocoa butter is the way to go for my hair. Anyways, and here's the thing that I've learned throughout the years. Just because one ingredient does not work for me, it does not make the ingredient bad. Like I said earlier, sometimes you can, you know, try it out and figure it out. And, you know, by doing so, you're going to learn what your hair likes and what your hair doesn't like. An ingredient isn't automatically bad just because it doesn't work for your hair. Again, it's all about learning what your curls need. Your hair is allowed to have different needs. You know, I stopped following all of the trends on the internet. I started learning what my hair needs, and we can watch 50 videos, including mine, about what works and what doesn't work. The only way we can know for sure is if we experiment on ourselves and we do so safely. You know, we don't just want to be using janked up like ammonia in our hair just because we want to see if it's going to damage my hair. But again, ammonia, you know, it's in bleach. So if that's your purpose to bleach your hair, then go ahead and use it. But what I'm saying is we have to learn what works for us. We're not going to just depend on what someone says. So just find something that works for you. Hopefully, you know, with all this information, you can start paying attention to all of these ingredients. You know, you can start reading them. And one of the reasons I'm using the Diva Calls right now, because none of these ingredients are in it. So I feel safe so far using it. You have to be cautious because yesterday after my wash day, I was about to use the sculpting pomade and also the sculpting foam, which is all Paul Mitchell brand. But one thing I know is that those stuff leave my hair dry. So if I go in and I saw how much breakage that I've had, why would I use sculpting pomade? It does not make any sense. You know, because I have tried them before. I've tried them when I was in beauty school. My hair looks beautiful. Like it looks like so nice. But trade-off is that once it's wash day, you put water in your hair, there's a lot of tingling that you're gonna be dealing with. You know, and yesterday, like when I was brushing my hair was falling out a lot. Hopefully you get to see it in my upcoming video of what I'm talking about. Healthy curls is not about using the most popular, expensive product on the internet. It's about finding what works for you. Anyways, save this if you're still trying to figure out your curls. You know, I hope you follow along with my journey. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.